Okay, a warm welcome everyone to Sephardic Bikur Cholim's first Zoom baking party with Leah Gladstein. And this is also part of the Sephardic Jewish Brotherhood of America and the Sephardic Digital Library. And we're very, very excited to be offering this. We've got people from around the world joining us, all to watch Leah make Boyikos for us. So I'm going to turn this over to Leah, and she is going to lead us in baking. So Leah, take it away.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. The baking is my favorite thing, and Sephardic baking is my favorite thing. Growing up, I learned from my mom. I wasn't always allowed to do everything. So now that I have my own kitchen, I could do it and do it any way I like. So we'll start with everyone put your ovens on to 400 degrees. I already did that, but just preheat your oven to 400. And I've also got some ice water ready for when we're ready doing the water portion. So, well, let's just start right in. We're gonna get all of our liquid, the liquid and the Parmesan are gonna all go in first, and we're going to stir that together. So I'm gonna start with 3/4 cup of oil. We'll open that up. This is the cheese boyikos is something that my mom always made. She didn't make bulemas and other things without the help of her sisters, but this is one thing growing up that I remember her making, and we were able to help her, and it didn't really matter how they turned out. They didn't need to be perfect. So it's a great introduction to Sephardic cooking, where just everybody can do it their way and how they like. So next I'm going to put in 3/4 cup of, a half a cup of my ice water. So you don't want any of the ice cubes in it. And if you don't have ice water, just use some cold water from the tap is good. So I'm going to put that in. Now I'll just going to sort of dry out my measuring cup so that I can put my Parmesan in. And I'm going to measure out it. My recipe says 1 to 1.5 cups of Parmesan cheese, but I like it extra cheesy, so I'll be putting in the 1.5 cups. We'll measure that now. I'll take a little break after this to make sure everyone's caught up. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you like a little extra Parmesan, go ahead and add it. All right, now I'm going to stir the water, the Parmesan, and the oil together. My Parmesan is a little bit clumpy. Unfortunately, I don't have that fresh Parmesan that Judy was talking about, but that does sound good. So we'll stir it all up, get the clumps. We're going to give it some nice stirring. I remember at the synagogue, the bazaar, my mom would be baking at the bazaar, and she would not be allowed to do anything but cut the spinach because everything needed to be so perfect. Then I learned how to make bulemas myself with the help of my guru, Rena Varin, and she taught me how to make them. It would be fun one day if we could do a bulema baking all together, although that would be a little bit more difficult, but I think it's something that maybe we could one day do. All right, so we've got this stirred. I hope everyone is has their liquid and Parmesan ingredients all stirred up together. This is how mine looks, like a little bit of a muck, like oatmeal. I'm not an oatmeal fan because mucky food is never delicious. All right. Let's move along to the next. A teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. I have my little salt container with an S for salt. And Sephardic. It might have Sephardic salt. All right. We're going to add the salt. 1 teaspoon salt and a 1/2 teaspoon baking powder. The baking powder, I have the Just regular baking powder, dual acting. We'll throw that in. We don't have to stir it just yet. We'll stir it once we get our flour in. I'm gonna get a towel. You could dry your hands if they're dirty. Now I'm gonna put the flour. So my recipe calls for 2 to 3 cups of flour. I'm a little bit more with the 2 cups. I think is a little bit better, but we'll do this together. We're gonna start slowly with adding the flour. Let's start. We'll start with 1.5 cups. Add 1.5 cups. This is where it gets tricky because we don't want to add too much flour because then they'll be dry and too crumbly and hard to work with. So I'm going to start with 1.5 cups. Just dump the 1.5 cups in, and it should be very easy to stir. You could just be stirring and everything is moist and it's going to start to form a dough. Okay, so we're going to get our dough forming. Okay, so now I've got it, so it's like clumpy, but still very wet. So we could definitely be adding more flour. So I'm gonna go ahead and add another 1/2 cup of flour. My measuring cup is a little bit dirty, but I could see my 1/2 cup, and I'm gonna add my 1/2 cup of flour. I'm getting low on flour. Sometimes it's, I feel like flour has been hard to find at the stores. Every time I see it, I buy it, but it's not so easy, and I don't want to get that great big thing from cash and carry because that's not, I don't know, that's a little bit too large. So I'm going to slowly add in this extra 1/2 cup of flour, and I'm getting more of a dough now. Oops, we have a little runaway dough. All right, so I feel it, and it's moist. I'm gonna add the rest of my 1/2 cup. So now I've added a complete 2 cups of flour. Okay, oops. I bet Julia Child doesn't have her dough coming out of her bowl. No, going to. Okay, now with your hands, hopefully your hands are clean, and you could just sort of use your hands to get all that flour in. So mine, you know, I think that mine feels good, but maybe I'll add just another little light dusting. For those people that like to be totally exact, maybe I'm gonna add another 2 tablespoons, and that will be it for mine. And it feels good. I have a nice dough. Huh? How do you know it feels good? It feels good if it's not too crumbly. We don't want it too crumbly. Like this is my dough. The consistency, as you can see, it's still very pliable, workable. It's not crumbling. I'm going to go with that. 2 cups and 2 tablespoons. I hope that everybody is with me now on this part. I'm going to wait a little bit before I start forming. But if you're up to date with me on this, let everyone, we're going to get our cookie sheets ready. So get your cookie sheet. You could line it with parchment paper or with Pam or both. I have my cookie sheet here ready. I'm going to spray a little bit of Pam, canola oil, Pam, whatever on it. And we'll wash our hands a little bit. And have a tablespoon ready, because I think that the best amount per cheese boyikos is a tablespoon. And also have a fork or a knife. My mom always did hers with a knife, and I'll show you what we're doing. So have a fork and a knife ready and a tablespoon. Okay, just gonna give everyone a minute so that everyone could be caught up with me. I have my SBH Ladies Auxiliary Bazaar. Unfortunately, we're not having a bazaar this year. So this is the bazaar year, nonetheless. Pun intended. Okay. It is crazy. We haven't been to synagogue in so long now. But a lot of other people have, and that's so wonderful that people are going, and hopefully come the holidays, we'll be there together to hear shofar. Hopefully that they'll have a vaccine and we'll all be able to be together and enjoy each other's company. Okay, so now we're gonna move along. So now I'm gonna take my tablespoon and I'm gonna, it doesn't have to be exact, just take your tablespoon and tablespoon them out onto the cookie sheet into like little tablespoon mounds. And we'll do that together with all of them. And then I'll show you what to do. Okay. It's nice because we get a fair amount of these. And you know, another little trick that my mom used to do is she used to do all of this and form them. And then she would have them formed on her cookie sheet. And she would put the whole cookie sheet in the freezer without baking it. And she would freeze them in the freezer. And then she would package them up in her little nice shoebox or Tupperware. I would just use a Ziploc bag before they were baked. So she could always have fresh cheese boyikos for Shabbat or whatever. If she had company coming over, she would just pop them out of the freezer, bake them, and she would have fresh cheese boyikos instead of just having them already made and baked in the oven. I used to do that, but I often forgot to bake them before Shabbat, and I would think I had them, and then when it came time to serving, I would remember that they were raw. That would not be a good way to have raw cheese boyikos for your company. Okay, so we were just chatting with myself. I'm continuing, and you know, they don't have, like I said, doesn't have to be perfect. Some could be a little bit bigger than others. It's really just sort of eyeball the tablespoon. If you don't want to use the tablespoon at all, you could just take your tablespoon and just scoop it, or however it's best for you. I'm using the tablespoon and getting quite a few, which is really nice. I hope everyone is doing well through all of this. It's definitely given a lot of extra family time. I have all my kids home, which has been really nice, and everyone's doing their thing. My older son just went camping for 3 weeks. It's quite some time to be gone. 3 weeks of camping doesn't sound too pleasant for a lot, but I'll tell you this, he didn't bring cheese boyikos with him. Although it is a good camping food, it is something easy that you could bring with you because you don't have to heat them up. They're like a yummy cheese cookie. Hopefully everyone will be having their hot cheese boyikos with their lunch today, fresh out of the oven. Maybe with a cup of coffee.
How long do they last for?
So they could last for quite some time in your freezer, or they could last on, you know, my mom never refrigerated these things. We always just had them out on our counter, and we all none of us got ill, but they'll last for quite some time. You could just put them in your freezer, and they'll last for quite some time in the freezer, or just in a Tupperware on your counter, or in your refrigerator, maybe even longer.
Leah, this is amazing. I think there's a lot of questions though. Can I unmute people?
Oh, yes. I feel kind of weird just chatting, and I don't know if there's any questions.
I just want to tell you, there's 67 people on here. There's a ton of people watching on Facebook, so I think there's questions. So if people have questions, can you please feel free to unmute? One of the questions we have so far is, can you give a little bit of a background of where your family is from? Because we've got people outside of SBH here. So can you tell a little bit about where the Mesostrano family comes from and the all that?
Okay, so my mom is Sharchon. Reverend Sharon was her father, and they come from Rhodes, the island of Rhodes. And actually my family, my immediate family, we just went and we visited the old city of Rhodes, and we saw maybe like where their house was. It was hard to pinpoint exactly. We went to the Jewish cemetery in Rhodes. It reads like the list of all of the Sephardic names we have here, especially from Ezra B'Sereth. Like it's, if you could go to Rhodes, it was an incredible experience being at the cemetery and seeing all these names and all these people that we probably knew, or their families are living here in Seattle now, was incredible. And in the center of the old city of Rhodes is a statue, the exact same statue that they have at Ezra B'Sereth. It's super meaningful. And Rhodes is just also, if you don't have that whole family history, it's just a beautiful place to visit. And then my dad is from Turkey. We've never gone to Turkey to visit there because it's probably not so safe to be visiting Turkey right now, but it would be a wonderful place to go and see. And I grew up at SBH, Sephardic Bikur Cholim, and I grew up, my mom was the president of the Ladies Auxiliary. She spent countless hours baking in the synagogue with the ladies and baking for the bazaar. We would go to the bazaar. We used to be at the Norway Center. Remember, Dave Mezestrano was a treasurer, and he had his little cigar box with all the money. And we would be just kids running around there while my mom set up, and we would spend the entire day there. It was just so many wonderful memories, and it's so wonderful now. We still are baking in the synagogue. I'm married to Robert Gladstein. I mean, his favorite thing is baking in the synagogue, baking with Ellie Varon and Bob Benardute and everyone, and Terry, and it's just, my favorite thing is to bake. I wish that I could just make that my full-time job, and it sort of is.
That's great. We got a couple of questions. Can you use unbleached flour?
Probably. I can't imagine why not.
Okay, because I'm getting conflicting information. Some say you should use regular flour, so just want to make sure.
I really don't know. I've never used unbleached flour, but I think it would be fine.
Okay.
Try it. I bet it would.
Try it, but it's better with regular flour.
Right. If you have regular flour, maybe use a regular flour.
Okay. And do you have?
I use unbleached flour.
Oh, Vicki Lynn said she uses unbleached flour,
and it works
fine. It works fine. So
yeah.
That's a thumbs up for the unbleached flour.
Is there a gluten-free recipe for this? Could you substitute flour for something else?
Probably. I think that this is going to be a very forgiving recipe, and they're obviously not going to taste the same as these. But I would say you could try something else, like almond flour, maybe. That could be. That's a gluten-free substitute. I think you could. I would give it a try. It's going to taste different, but I bet it will be delicious.
I had two questions. I had asked earlier if you could use grated cheese.
Oh, yeah, you definitely could use grated cheese.
Okay. And the other thing is, I noticed that your balls are very close together. I got out 2 cookie sheets.
Yes. I haven't. I'm not going to keep all of these balls on the cookie sheet. I just did this now, and all of these will not be on the cookie sheet.
Okay. Thank you.
A little side note is I have a recipe for Pesach for these as well. So I have, and they're very delicious. So for Pesach, it's not flour. We use cake meal and cake meal instead of the flour. So they always come out delicious. So any substituting, I think, will be fine with this recipe. Any other questions before we move along on flattening them and forming them?
I have a question. Can you use caseri or kashkaval instead of Parmesan?
Yes, I think yes. I think you could use anything. Like I said, they may not, they'll have like your cheese may be coming out a little bit, but I think it's fine to use any kind of cheese.
Thank you.
What are these called?
Cheese boyos, cheese boyikos,
Okay.
cheese boyikos.
And how long would you cook them in?
So we haven't cooked that, we haven't baked them yet, but we're going to be baking them at a 400-degree oven for roughly 15 minutes. My oven runs a little bit on the cooler side, so I have to do it a little bit longer in my oven. But
How long do you bake them for?
15 minutes. But we haven't baked them yet. We haven't formed them yet. So don't put anything in the oven yet.
Do you use the same amount of cake meal as you use flour?
You know, I would have to check my recipe. Maybe at the end I could check my recipe and see what my Pesach recipe is.
Thank you.
Are you using that now, or you just want for Pesach next year?
It's for Pesach.
Okay, yeah. So I'll look for Pesach for next year. There's Robert. Okay, should we move along?
Yes.
No,
Okay.
my question is, what is a cheese boyiko if it's gluten-free, dairy-free, and vegan?
No, air. It's calorie free. No, well, you know, we want, you know, that kashkaval would probably give it a lot of flavor. Like that's what the Parmesan has, like a lot of salt and a lot of flavor. So kashkaval, that was my dad's favorite cheese, was kashkaval. If ever we were somewhere and we could get that for him, he loved that.
It's called
Okay.
a rock, Rabbi, a rock. Hard
rock?
biscuit.
The alcohol, raki?
No, I meant
I know.
out the dairy and out the cheese and out the
Okay.
oil.
Okay, so should we move along?
Yes.
Is
Yeah,
everyone
let's
ready?
move along. I'm going to mute everyone again, so please take it away, Leah.
Okay, so now I'm gonna take my ball that I have, and I'm gonna press it down with my fingers. And some people, there's two different ways of doing this. Some people would do it like a peanut butter cookie and take a fork and just sort of flatten it down. We always did. I like them on the thinner side, and it would look like that. You know, like that peanut butter cookie look. Or my mom would do it like this with her hand, like this, and flatten it. And then she would take a knife and she would go like this. My mom was always very exact also, like this. And have it like that and place it down. So you could, now we could do it, you could do it however is best for you. This always reminds me of my mom, so I like to do it like this. And you could do it any way you like, and then place them nicely kind of far apart on your cookie sheet. I know some people like them thicker or thinner. I like them on the thinner side, so I'm gonna flatten mine a little bit more. If you like it on the thicker side, you don't have to flatten it as much. And because we measured them out with our tablespoon, they'll all be roughly the same size, which is a good thing. My mom always measured everything out to make sure everything was always the same size. I was always a little bit more willy-nilly with my baking, but I like to do this how she does it. Okay, and we're just sort of going along. I have this big cookie sheet here, and I'm getting about four of them across on my cookie sheet. And we'll just keep going. I wonder how many everybody got. We should all have roughly the same amount. I feel like my dough is a little bit oily, which I think is good because it's not too dry. It's very pliable. It just sort of easily flatten down, very easy to be working with. Okay. I know that there are some people that would put wash and baste it with the egg and then Parmesan on top. I do not do that, but if you like that, you could do that. another option also is just to put Parmesan on top of these. I feel like we have a lot of Parmesan in them and they really don't need any more. But if you like that look, if you think it could, you know, enhance the cheese boyiku, make it prettier to have a little bit of the Parmesan on top, you could do that. The wonderful thing about these cheese boyikus is really, like, you know, with bulemas and borekas, it has to be so much more exact and it's so difficult. You have to get everything just right. You have to get that flour and everything just so you could work easily with your dough. Where these are very forgiving, and you could add your kashkaval. I'm a big cheddar fan, and sometimes I would just put cheddar cheese in. It's not as good as the Parmesan, but it works. And I hope everybody is working along like I am here. I've got 12 of them complete now. And I know, like, some of my friends like them way thicker. I like it to have them nice and thin. Mine is about that, like about the palm of my hands. Is that gross? A little bit, maybe. But I washed my hands well before I did this. And I hope people will continue to eat at my house.
I ended up with 43 and a half, Leah.
You ended up with, you're already at 43?
Well, I kind of went ahead of you. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. I wonder how many. Yeah, that sounds about right. Let's see.
Leah, there's a question about could they add herbs to the to it? Like some,
add herbs. Oh, you
like
know,
parsley or dill or basil.
Like maybe some rosemary or basil cut in there. I bet that would be delicious. Yes, I'd say, you know, maybe the Sephardic lady from the olden days might not think that's okay, but I say go for it.
You're so progressive.
We finished our first batch of the air fryer.
I won't tell anyone.
Irene's first batch from the air fryer. They look great.
Oh, wow. Some people moved ahead, I see.
Well, I have 2 other Zoom meetings at 11.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, you know, I didn't get 43. I think I got like somewhere in the 30s, but that's okay. Maybe mine will be a little bit bigger. It doesn't really matter. It's not like the borekas. You need to have the exact same of your gomo. You need to make sure you get the exact right amount of your dough. Where this is just a lot more forgiving. You could add herbs. I wouldn't suggest adding some sweets. Maybe you could add some chocolate chips. No, that might be gross. I think that would be overdoing it.
I'm going to call that one. That one's off. That's off the table.
So that's a don't on the chocolate chips.
From what I understand, when it comes to these beautiful recipes, do them the classic way. And then once you've got the classics mastered, then you can play with it with herbs and other things like that. That's the rule of thumb that we do. But this is excellent. This is really a lot of fun. There's a question from Annette, and she's asking, what's the difference between a boyiku and a boyu?
Okay, so the boyiku is what we're making now. Boyus is what I would call like a spinach boyu, which has like this this boiled dough recipe, and then you roll out the dough when you put in the spinach. We call them spinach boyus or cheese boyikus. That's what I know of. And then there's also spinach bulemas, but the spinach bulemas are made with a yeast dough. And then there's borekas, which is just a dough very similar to this without the Parmesan in it, where you make it and then you would do it and you would put your potato filling in, and then you do that little ropogo, as Ellie Barron would call it. And you know, that originally that's what I thought that I would do would be borekas, but I thought maybe that would be a little more difficult for the first one, but maybe someone else will do that, or if I come back, I would love to do that. Bulemas are my favorite thing to make.
Leah, you're definitely going to be a repeat. We love watching you. You're amazing.
Okay, good.
Leah, I use this 1 tablespoon scooper, and that's how I can do it so fast.
Oh,
Get
oh,
them-
good,
you get them
good.
mixture.
Where is it? How do I see the 1 tablespoon scooper?
You see it? So it looks like a cookie scoop, except
Oh.
it's 1 tablespoon.
Oh, nice. That's
I
okay.
use the same thing, Sharon. I use that same little cookie scoop that it comes out.
It just
And
goes
how many
really
did you
fast and
get?
accurate. Yeah.
I
Oh,
got 37. Here's my
Oh.
cookie scoop.
I only got 20 with using that scoop.
I guess it depends how big your scoop is.
I got 30, but some of my scoops were bigger than others, and that's okay, Mar.
Okay.
Okay, so my first cookie sheet, I'm gonna put it in the oven now. I've got all of my lovely cheese boyikos. I'm not gonna egg it, or I'm not gonna put Parmesan on top. You know what? Maybe I'll put a little Parmesan on top of a couple of them, so we can see how that works.
Can you egg it?
You could egg it if you wanted to egg it. If I don't like that whole egging thing is a big to do, but to add a little Parmesan is always yummy. Adds a little extra zing. If you're not using Parmesan, I guess you could put like the kashkaval on top. Could also, I mean, kashkaval is such a yummy, sharp cheese. It's always delicious. So now I'm going to take my cheese boyikos. I'm going to put them in the oven, in my preheated 400-degree oven. And I have a smaller cookie sheet that I will do the rest of mine on. Oh, I forgot to put the timer on. You always want to remember to put your timer on, because you don't want cheese boyikos after all that work and all of that expensive Parmesan cheese. You don't want anything to go to waste. The other day I made challah, and I took so much time making my challah and everything, and then I went outside and I forgot about it, and I burnt all the challah.
How long do you bake it for?
15 minutes. Although every oven is different, I know that mine are going to take longer than 15 minutes because my oven tends to run a little bit on the cool side.
What shelf do you put?
Oh, I put it in the middle shelf. In the middle shelf in my oven, not on the top, not at the bottom, just right in the middle.
Oh, what about the SPH oven? How much?
You know, I've never made these in the SPH oven. The SPH oven, Robert tells me the SPH oven runs hot. All right. I'm going to continue on with my cutting. I feel like when I do it with the fork, I can't get it quite as thin, and they always have some rough edges. So does anyone else do it with the knife? That would be interesting. I wonder, was it just my mom that did it with the knife? I could picture her hand right now just doing it. This is exactly how she did it.
I've never done the knife, but I did it this time because it's nice and smooth. I do a fork first and then the knife over to kind of spread.
Oh, good.
Great little trick.
Yeah, right. They come out a little bit rounder, a little bit smoother. Yeah.
Yeah, Leah, my mom also used to make it just the same as you're doing with the knife.
Oh, who's saying that?
Rena.
Oh, Rena. Oh. Ooh.
This is my morning voice.
Rena Barron.
That makes a lot of sense.
But just like you did. She always would thin out the edges. She would thin it out at the edges and then knife everything.
That must be the Sharhoni ladies maybe did it with the knife.
Leah?
Exactly,
Leah?
Exactly.
Yeah?
I roll out the dough and then I use a glass and I form each boyiko that way.
Oh, wow. But you know what? Let's try that.
I make a half of a recipe. Rena will tell you.
So you roll your dough and you put it, and then you smash it with the glass?
A small glass. I use a small glass, but the top. Cut it out.
Oh, you cut it.
Yeah.
Oh, is that how Mary did it?
No, Mary did it like Leah is showing you, but I can't make it that way.
Right. That coupley doesn't work so well for me, but that's interesting. When you roll out all the dough together,
oh, just
like
a little bit at a time.
Hamantaschen?
I have a very small area here.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's interesting.
smaller than
That could
yours.
be a really good way to do it.
That takes too much time for me.
To do each one like this?
Yeah, I get them smaller.
Oh.
I have a yogurt glass that I use.
Oh. Oh. My Auntie Mary used to make her own yogurt. And my
So do
Aunt
I.
P, they had their
I
yogurt
still-
starter, and they always made their own yogurt.
I still
You
do
go
it.
Buy it at the grocery store. Shannon. Okay.
It's Lariadato. My wife and I have a deal. She makes it, I eat it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good deal. The Sephardic food is my absolute favorite food. Like, I think if I could only eat one food for the rest of my life, I would choose bulemas. I could just eat so many bulemas, are just so delicious and yummy. These cheese bukus are
There's another
yummy.
question about the Parmesan cheese. Do you freshly grate it, or how do you do
No.
it?
No, I just buy it in the white tubs from the grocery store, the Miller's Parmesan cheese. You know, if
I mean, that's what I do. I just go get it from SPH, and
right, yeah, me too.
and Diana puts it on my tab, so I don't know how to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, me too. Diana puts it on my tab.
And how many ounces of Parmesan do you need to get a cup and a half?
You know what? I don't know. Maybe
Just a cup and a half. Yeah.
16
Okay.
ounces. I'm not sure. I'm not so sure about that, but you know, like I remember my dad was telling me that my Auntie Ray made them another way. She would make the dough, and then she would roll out her dough, so you have your dough rolled out, and then she would put a whole bunch of cheese over the big rolled out dough, and then she would roll it up, and then she would cut it into pieces, into little pinwheels. My kids don't like the pinwheels as much, but I remember that being so delicious.
That's the way my grandmother used to make them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she'd cut it like a roll, and then she'd use the fork.
Oh, and then she would have the pinwheel, and then she would fork the pinwheel?
Yeah. Or
Neat.
she'd mush it down, and then she'd use the fork to put the final touches on.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah. You know, and I
so
remember
she'd have all her cheese in the middle, so the pinwheel with all the cheese, and then she would put Parmesan on top.
And I remember doing it like that and using like cheddar or mozzarella or different cheeses in there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so delicious. My Auntie Ray would also sometimes, my Auntie Ray was a big baking force in my life because she taught my mom how to do so many things. And she would make these cheese sticks where she would have her dough, and then she would roll out her dough, and she would just put a whole bunch of Parmesan cheese, and then she would fold, kind of like how you would maybe do croissants or something, and she would fold the dough over and then roll it out some more and put more Parmesan cheese, and then fold it and put more Parmesan cheese, and then she would cut it in these sticks. And that was actually also very delicious.
Those were my favorite.
Yeah. Do you ever make that?
My Nonna does. I don't make them, but she does the best.
Yeah, that's also, mine never could come out quite like my Auntie Ray's, but yeah, they're so good. And Parmesan, look, how could you go wrong with Parmesan and dough, right? It's always delicious.
Can you see this? Can you see this, Leah?
No, let me see. No.
Can you see that?
No. Pull it. No, pull it over a little more. Pull it over a little more. Oh yeah.
That's the way they look after they come out.
Oh yeah. Delicious. Well, Uncle Mo, what else do you make over there at the summit?
I make my yogurt, and that's all I make. Well, I just cook. This is what I really make is Boyikos every Friday.
Oh wow! And you still make your own yogurt. That's so amazing.
Yeah.
You just
and I make my own soup.
Oh, that's good. Wow, when you make your own cheese bukus. What about like borekas and bulemas?
I don't do that. Rita gives them for me.
Yeah, the guru. She's good. It's
good. That's right.
So yeah, mine are still waiting. Hopefully, well, they'll be coming out soon. So was that yours already out of the oven, Uncle Mo?
Mine, I do that on Friday.
Oh, you're ahead of us.
I give some to Al Cordova and I give some to Ralph Adato.
Oh, nice. How's Al Cordova feeling?
He's not doing too well, honey.
Oh no. Right, I'm sure the cheese bukus are good for him. A good pick-me-up.
He makes good bizcochos.
Oh, yeah.
I have to learn
yeah,
next.
bizcochos are always delicious. Oh, my house is smelling delicious from the cheese bukus. I hope everybody else's as well. You should start smelling them.
I know it well.
Delicious too. Yeah, can't really wait.
Yeah, my hands feel very oily. I'm gonna go wash them real quick.
How many more minutes do you have on your timer?
Any other questions or comments?
How many more minutes on the timer?
5.
Oh, my timer has 7 more minutes.
5.5.
Oh, how does your oven run?
I don't know. I'll go check it.
Someone said that they would love a bizcocho bake demo. Yeah.
I remember that Esther Habib used to come to my mother's house, and she would make boyos, and she would.
Someone's got music going.
Yeah, she would roll out the dough, do an egg wash, and put cheese on it. Roll them up in pinwheels, cut them, another egg wash, and more cheese on top before she baked them.
Oh, yum. Yeah, a lot of people do the egg wash. I'm not a huge fan of the egg wash just because it's I don't know, it's just that whole extra step when you've got
Leah?
Yeah.
Hey Leah, Jack Shalom here. Hi.
Hi.
Ask, when do we have the Rocky and cigar? How
Okay, so
soon?
we're gonna. I've got my raki in my little glass. I'm not a big cigar smoker, but
Okay.
you can start at any time, Jack.
Jack, you can private message me for the cigar and raki party. I'm not putting it in the Facebook group. Just a question about the oil.
At a whole new level.
As a president, I think I can override you, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we've seen that.
Jack, this is Mike Varon. Talk to me about the cigars.
You got it, my brother. You got it.
Leah, another question about the oil. Is there a preferred oil, or is it any oil you want?
You know, I prefer using canola oil or vegetable oil. I feel like sometimes olive oil has a much stronger flavor. Maybe if you used a very light olive oil, but olive oil could have a stronger flavor that could maybe overpower some of this. So I'm sure it would probably be fine, but I prefer canola or vegetable. It's so nice that so many people are here joining this Zoom baking. Thank you, Sharon and Dada. What a great idea. When Sharon asked me, I was like, oh no, what is she gonna want? But I was like so quick to say yes. This is like my right up my alley, my favorite thing to do. Sharon, you've done so much throughout all of this coronavirus, and we're lucky that you're here helping SBH.
Thank you. You're the perfect person to kick off this event, Leah.
Thank you. Thank you.
A lot of fun.
It's so much fun.
And it's nice to see so many familiar faces from all over the world.
I know. That's the one great thing about Zoom is that, you know, we see, like, normally if we were having a baking class, we wouldn't have nearly this many people, or, you know, so many people from out of town, and now it could really include everyone. And I feel like it's, you know, you really doing it, and these are like fairly easy to make, and I'm sure all of ours are probably tasting almost identical.
Well, Leah, you've done a great job, and before the boyikos come out of the oven, I just want to echo our thanks to Sharon for being the organizer for all of this. She's done a great job, as you said, throughout COVID-19 in connecting our members, but just helping choreograph this. And Sharon's already got our next baking demo lined up. In 2 weeks, we're going to be doing spinach filas with Jeannie Myman. So save the date, July 26th at 10:30 a.m. for spinach filas. And if you'd like to lead a cooking demo, just reach out to Sharon or reach out to me, and we'd love to see everyone. And if we don't get anyone, we're going to be happy to have Leah being our repeat chef.
One thing about the fila, what's the name of that store? Pacific?
See how quick that is?
Big
John's
John.
used to be called Big John's, has the best fila. You could get it fresh from their refrigerator. It's don't buy the thick, buy the thin. It's always delicious from the grocery store in the freezer. It could be very, it could all stick together, but it used to be Big John's. What's it called now?
PFI.
Leah?
It's called Pacific Food Imports.
Well, Pacific Food Imports
Food
has
Imports.
the best fila. It's kind of, it's a little tricky to get to, but just put it in your ways, and that's really the best fila.
They moved, so they're on, I believe, Rainier Avenue now, if I'm not mistaken.
And Dearborn.
Really?
I read that they're in Dearborn now.
Rainier and Dearborn in that new building in the main floor there.
Oh, wow. Oh, nice. Oh, I didn't know that. It's been a while since I've made fila. I love spinach fila. Is another one of my favorites.
I want to see these come out of the oven. Are they ready?
I'm going to check mine and see. Mine are not ready just yet, but I think soon that they will be.
Leah, how many minutes to bake them? I didn't hear.
15 minutes.
Thank you. 15 minutes at 400.
Roughly, make sure they should be a little golden brown. Maybe look on the bottom, make sure they're golden brown on the bottom.
Okay, and at 400, right?
400, yes.
Mine's finished.
Oh, yours are finished? Oh, let's see. Oh. Oh, wow, they look delicious. They look delicious. My whole family is applauding.
Okay, Shia, you want to show?
I didn't see.
Yeah.
I can't
Let's see, Shia. Shia has his done.
And now we're on our second round.
Oh, yum. Yours looks delicious. Did you try it or is it too hot?
Not yet. A little too hot.
Yeah, a little too hot.
Wow, Shia, that looks amazing. Hi, Jamie.
It smells so good. Thank you, Leah.
I'm coming around to everyone's home to pick up some. We're heading on a road trip in about 10 minutes, so I'm going to pick up some.
Come on, we've got a lot here.
Where are you going? Shia wants to know.
We're going up to Sandy Point, just past Bellingham and around Birch Bay area.
So fun.
Soon we're going to Lake Chelan.
Oh, Lake Chelan is so nice and sunny.
Wow, Lake Chelan is fun.
Yeah, we're going to take our Boyikos with us.
Oh,
We're
yum.
going to take our bikes.
Oh, that's good. There'll be a good snack on your bike ride. We used to go to Birch Bay all the time. There was a whole Sephardic, contingent Sephardic group that would go. Rabbi Myman had a place. There was a lot of people that had places in Birch Bay, and that was like our place as kids. We used to go to Birch Bay and play in the bay and the candy shop and the river.
We're gonna do all of that. Sharona's aunt and uncle have a little place on the water, and we go up there for a few days every summer. So we're gonna take
fun.
It's
It's
a classic COVID-19 vacation when you can't go to Israel.
Are most of the participants from Seattle?
Oh, so mine have just come out of the oven, and they have their little brown around. They're hot. Let me. Oh yeah, so here's mine just came out of the oven, and it's a little bit brown on the bottom there, and it's nice and thin. It's got my Parmesan on top. Will be delicious. I'm gonna put my second batch in. I'm not gonna put Parmesan on these ones.
Marilyn and Robert tasting. You having Marilyn and Robert tasting? What about Jojo?
Yeah. It's a little bit hot, but yeah, I've got a bunch of people here that are waiting to taste them.
I couldn't wait. Delicious.
Oh, Sharon's already eating hers. So delicious.
It's outstanding.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. I'm so happy that so many people joined. It was so much fun. This is just like a highlight for me to be here with everyone and baking Boyikos together. Like, what could be better? It's so nice. I hope that we'll all be together soon and this virus will be over and we'll live our lives and we could see all of our friends, no matter what the age is. And it's been so wonderful seeing everyone and baking together.
Oh man, so good.
It was fun, Leah. Thank you. It was fun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leah. This was really nice.
Oh, look at there. I have Josh's.
Thank you, Leah. You were excellent.
Thank
You're
you.
an
Thank
excellent
you.
teacher.
Thank you, Leah. This was so much
Thank
fun.
you, Leah. From
Yeah.
Steve and I both.
Okay, on behalf of everyone, I want to thank Leah, thank Sharon, thank you all for joining us, and please keep in touch. Look out for SBH announcements and from Sephardic Brotherhood Digital Sephardic Libraries so that you can join us next time. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Thank you.